My name is Virginia S. Thomas. The original story never gave an age, so I will only tell you this. I was old enough to recognize a pattern, and still hopeful enough to mistake denial for patience. This trip was supposed to fix us. The past year had been difficult. Nolan had grown distant in a way I could not name. Every attempt I made to bridge the gap was met with irritation or dismissal. He stayed late at work more often. His phone never left his hand. When I asked what was wrong, he said I was being needy. I told myself relationships had seasons. I told myself 5 days on a beach would bring back the man I had fallen in love with. So when I opened my laptop that night, I was not looking for trouble. I was looking to surprise him with a room upgrade. One more gesture. One more investment. One more thing he would barely notice. The resort portal loaded. I clicked into the reservation and scanned the details. That was when I saw it. 3 guests, not 2. I assumed it was a glitch. I refreshed the page. Still 3. I logged out and back in. Still 3. I scrolled down to the names. Primary guest, Virginia S. Thomas. Second guest, Nolan. Third guest, Kara Vale. Kara. The names sat there like a stone dropped into still water, and every ripple came back cold. Kara from marketing, the work wife. The woman Nolan had been telling me not to worry about since she appeared 8 months earlier. The woman whose texts lit up his phone at midnight while he angled the screen away. The woman who stood too close at company events. The woman he defended with growing anger every time I asked, quietly and respectfully, if there was something I needed to know. I stared at the screen while the ceiling fan clicked overhead. Then the memories came, not all at once, but in a slow, deliberate line. The first time he mentioned her over dinner. Kara is hilarious, he said. You would like her. I nodded and said I looked forward to meeting her. I never really did. Then the late-night texts. I would wake to find his side of the bed glowing, his thumb moving fast, a faint smile on his lips. Work stuff, he would say. Kara has a project due. Then the holiday party, where I walked in to find her hand resting on his lower back, his laugh too loud, both of them straightening like actors caught between scenes. This is Kara, he said brightly, the one I told you about. She shook my hand with a smile that never reached her eyes. Then the fights. 3 or 4 times, I told him their closeness made me uncomfortable. Each time, he exploded. She is just a friend. Why can't you trust me? Why do you have to be so insecure all the time? Each time, I ended up apologizing. For noticing, for asking, for wanting clarity in my own relationship. And now her name was on my reservation, on my credit card, on the trip I had poured 8 months of hope into. The room had been changed to a suite with an extra bed. I closed the laptop and sat in the dark until the clarity settled where the hope used to be. Then I stood and walked to the bedroom doorway. Nolan was in bed, propped against the pillows, scrolling his phone. The robe I bought him for his birthday hung loose over one shoulder. Nolan? He did not look up. Nolan, come here for a second. I want to show you something. He sighed like my voice was a chore. What is so important? I opened the laptop again and turned it toward him. Our reservation shows 3 guests. Kara's name is on it. He glanced at the screen for half a second. No guilt, no panic, nothing. Yeah, he said. I added her. She's never been out of the country, and she's been super stressed lately. I thought it would be fun. You invited another woman on our vacation without asking me? That got his eyes up. Not remorseful. Irritated. Do not start. I knew you would act like this. You are so threatened by her and it is exhausting. I am asking why another woman's name is on a trip I paid for. Oh my God, he snapped. Here comes the money card. You always do this. Kara does not make me feel guilty. Kara just wants me to be happy. There it was, the comparison. So smooth he barely noticed the knife. I looked at him, at the man I had loved for 3 years, standing in the apartment we shared, wearing the robe I bought, telling me my role was to pay and stay quiet. "So what happens if I have a problem with this?" I asked. He crossed his arms. "I invited her to our vacation. You can stay home if you have a problem with that." The words landed like a door slamming shut, and then I smiled. Not because I was happy, because I was free. "Okay," I said. "Enjoy the trip." Nolan blinked when I said it. For half a second, confusion passed across his face, a brief malfunction in the confidence he had wrapped around himself. He expected resistance, tears maybe. A long argument where he could call me insecure until I apologized for noticing the knife in his hand. Instead, I had given him permission. "Glad you are being reasonable," he said finally, straightening the robe like he had just won something. "You will see. It is not a big deal." Then he walked back into the bedroom and closed the door. I stood alone in the living room with the laptop still open, the guest count still showing 3, and his dismissal hanging in the air like smoke. I did not rage. I did not call a friend. I did not throw anything. I waited until the line of light beneath the bedroom door went dark. Then I waited 20 more minutes, listening to the apartment settle around me, waiting for his breathing to deepen into the rhythm of a man who had no idea the ground beneath him had already disappeared. Then I sat down on the couch and opened the laptop again. The airline answered on the 3rd ring. A woman named Diana introduced herself in a cheerful customer service voice that made the whole thing feel almost polite. "I need to modify an existing reservation," I said quietly. She asked for the confirmation number. I gave it. She verified my name, date of birth, and the last 4 digits of the card. "I see 3 passengers," she said. "Cancun departing this Saturday at 2:30 p.m. "I need to cancel 2 of them," I said. "Nolan and Kara. Keep my ticket active." There was the soft clicking of a keyboard. "I can process those cancellations now. The miles will be returned to your account and taxes refunded to the original payment method. Would you like me to proceed?" "Yes." "Done. Would you like to make any other changes?" "I need an earlier flight on Saturday." Another pause. "We have a 6:15 a.m. departure. Arrival in Cancun at 10:20 local time." "Book it. And upgrade me to first class if there is availability." "You have enough miles. First class, seat 2A. "Do it." A few more clicks. "Your new flight is confirmed. The 2 additional passengers have been removed." "Thank you, Diana." "My pleasure. Enjoy your trip." I hung up and sat in the dark for one quiet moment. The ceiling fan clicked overhead. Nolan slept behind the closed bedroom door, probably dreaming of sand, attention, and Kara laughing at all the right places. Then I called the resort. The front desk answered with a warm, professional voice. I gave the reservation number and verified my identity. "I need to remove 2 guests," I said. "Nolan and Kara. I am the primary guest, and I will be checking in alone." "Of course, Miss Thomas, they have been removed. Will you still require the same room configuration?" "No, I would like to upgrade. Do you have the top-floor ocean view suite available?" "One moment." A brief pause. "Yes, the presidential suite is available on the 10th floor. Private terrace, panoramic ocean view, premium amenities package. There is an additional nightly charge." "That is fine. Apply the upgrade." It is done. "One more thing," I said. "Please add a note. No additional guests are to be added under any circumstances without my direct, in-person authorization. Specifically, no one named Nolan or Kara should receive a key, access to the room, or information about my booking." I understand. I have added the privacy note. And adjust the airport transfer to my new arrival time. Private car. Done. A private transfer will be waiting for you. When the call ended, I closed the laptop. The apartment was still dark, still silent. I moved through it carefully, pulling my carry-on from the hall closet and packing with slow, methodical precision. Swimsuits, sunglasses, sunscreen, passport. The book I had been meaning to read since spring. A few dresses, a pair of sandals. Nothing sentimental. Nothing that belonged to the woman who had begged for scraps of respect. This was not the permanent move. Not yet. That would come after the trip, when I had sun on my skin and enough distance to arrange logistics cleanly. Tonight was about removing myself from the picture he had drawn without my consent. Before dawn, I walked to the hook by the entryway where Nolan's keys hung. I slipped the spare apartment key off his keychain and dropped it into my pocket. He would not notice until he needed it. By then, it would not matter. I left no note. What would I have said? He had already told me exactly what I was worth. A wallet, a placeholder, an obstacle to manage. Anything I wrote would become evidence in the trial where he made himself the victim. At 4:55 a.m., my car arrived outside. I took one final look at the living room, the couch where I had sat with Kara's name burning on the screen, the kitchen where I had made Nolan coffee every morning, the bedroom door behind which he slept, dreaming of a vacation I had paid for. Then I walked out. At the airport, as first-class boarding began, my phone buzzed. Nolan, where are you? Your stuff is gone. Are you seriously still upset? A second text arrived as the plane doors were closing. Nolan, we need to leave for the airport in a few hours. Don't be weird. I turned off my phone. The engines roared, and I left him on the ground. I landed in Cancun at 10:20 a.m. local time. A man in a crisp white shirt was waiting near arrivals with a tablet bearing my name. Miss Thomas, your private transfer is this way. He led me to a black SUV with tinted windows, cool air already humming inside, chilled water in the cup holder, and a towel wrapped in cellophane on the armrest. I sat back as we drove along the coastal highway, palm trees flashing past the windows, the Caribbean glittering blue beyond them. I thought I would feel guilty. I thought some part of me would panic, picturing Nolan waking up and realizing I had actually left. But all I felt was the quiet relief of a woman who had stopped carrying someone else's entitlement. The resort gates opened like a movie scene. Marble floors, salt air, orchids, staff moving with practiced grace. The concierge greeted me with champagne and a lemongrass towel. Welcome, Miss Thomas. We have noted your privacy preferences. He said it so politely, as if privacy were a luxury service, instead of the first boundary I had enforced in months. Check-in took 5 minutes. No line, no questions, no Nolan, no Kara. The concierge confirmed that no one would receive access to my room or information about my booking without my direct, in-person approval. I thanked him and took the elevator to the 10th floor. The suite was spectacular. Floor-to-ceiling windows, white linens, a soaking tub large enough to make the extra bed situation feel darkly funny, a chilled bottle of champagne on the credenza, a private terrace that seemed to float over the ocean. I stepped outside and let the warm wind press against my face. Waves crashed below in a steady rhythm, patient and indifferent. I ordered lunch on the terrace, grilled fish, mango salsa, crisp white wine. I ate slowly while the sun moved across the sky. For the first time in almost a year, I did not feel like I was waiting for someone to dismiss me. Nolan and Kara arrived at the airport around noon. I know the timeline because the story later traveled through mutual friends, each version more dramatic than the last. They pulled up together in Kara's leased sedan, dressed in coordinated vacation clothes, laughing the easy laugh of people who believed they had gotten away with something. At the airline counter, Nolan gave the confirmation number. The agent typed, smiled, then stopped smiling. I'm sorry, sir. I only see one active passenger on this reservation. The other two tickets were canceled by the account holder last night. Nolan did not understand at first. Canceled? No, check again. There are supposed to be 3 of us. The cancellation was processed at approximately 2:15 a.m. The remaining passenger was rebooked on the 6:15 a.m. flight. She has already departed. Kara stepped forward then, charm already slipping. What do you mean she already departed? The agent apologized and told them they could purchase new tickets at the current fare. Last minute international, $1,200 per person. Nolan did not have it. I knew that. I had been quietly covering more than my share of our life for months while he figured things out. Kara, after a loud call to her credit card company and a lot of pacing, did not have it either. Eventually, Nolan put both seats on his own nearly maxed out card. $2,400 plus interest. His hand shook when he swiped. Kara stood behind him with her arms crossed, jaw tight. I heard later that she muttered, loud enough for the agent to hear, "You said she would not do anything. You said she was passive." By the time they cleared security, their new flight was already boarding. Middle seats, separate rows. No first class, no champagne. Just the cramped reality of paying for something they had expected me to fund. They reached Cancun after 6 in the evening. No private transfer, no cool towels. They took a shared shuttle with too many passengers and broken air conditioning. By the time they arrived at the resort, they were sweaty, exhausted, and barely speaking. At the front desk, Nolan tried to smile. Checking in, reservation should be under Virginia Thomas. I'm her boyfriend. The clerk typed, then became very careful. I'm sorry, sir. The reservation is held by the primary guest only, and she has already checked in. Right, Nolan said. So add us to the room. I'm afraid the primary guest left specific instructions. No additional guests are to be added without her direct in-person authorization. Specifically, no one named Nolan or Kara is to receive a key, access to the room, or information about the booking. Kara's face, I was told, went hard first, then cold. She turned to Nolan slowly. You told me this was handled. It is, he snapped. She is being insane. I flew to Mexico for no room? The clerk offered to check separate availability, but the resort was fully booked. Kara did not scream. Worse, she went quiet. The kind of quiet people use when they are done pretending someone is worth the inconvenience. She grabbed her bag, walked toward the shuttle stop, and left Nolan in the lobby. That night, Nolan called me 15 times. I read the text from my balcony, drink in hand, the ocean turning black under a silver moon. Virginia, we are at the resort. The desk will not let me check in. What did you tell them? This is not funny anymore. Kara left. Please come down and fix this. I did not reply. Then the voicemail appeared, 4 minutes and 2 seconds. I let it sit while the waves kept moving below me. I let the voicemail sit for a while. The drink in my hand was cold, the glass sweating against my fingers, the night warm around me. Below the terrace, the waves kept folding into themselves, silver under the moon. Nolan's name glowed on my screen like an old habit trying to prove it still had power. It did not. When I finally pressed play, I did it with the same calm you use to open a bill you already know you will not pay. 4 minutes and 2 seconds of raw, ragged fury poured through the speaker. You canceled my flight! Are you insane? Do you have any idea what you have done? We got to the airport and there was nothing there. Nothing! I had to pay $1,200 I do not have, and now I am at the resort, and they will not let me into the room because you told them not to. Who does that? Who does that to someone they love? He did not pause. He barely breathed. You are petty. You are controlling. You are vindictive. You ruined this entire trip because you are jealous of a friend. That is all Kara is, a friend. But you could not handle that, could you? You never wanted me to be happy. You just wanted someone to sit beside you and be grateful while you paid for things and acted like a martyr. I leaned back in the terrace chair and watched a boat light blink far out on the water. Then Kara's voice appeared in the background, muffled but sharp. Tell her she is unstable. Nolan turned away from the phone for half a second. I am telling her. Then back to me. You need to fix this. You need to come down to the lobby right now and fix it. Get me a room. Apologize to Kara. If you do that, we can talk about things. But if you do not, we are done. Do you hear me, Virginia? This is your last chance. Do not throw away 3 years over your ego. There was a pause then, the first real one. His breathing came through uneven. When he spoke again, the rage had cracked around the edges. I am serious. Pick up. Please, just pick up. I did not want it to go like this. I just wanted something fun. You are always so intense about everything. I needed a break. Just calm down. We can still salvage this. Call me back. The message ended. I set the phone on the table. The waves kept moving. The stars kept burning. Somewhere downstairs, Nolan was sitting in a lobby chair or standing near a desk, learning that consequences do not become cruelty just because they finally reach the person who caused them. I waited for anger. I waited for sadness. I waited for the old urge to rescue him from discomfort he had created himself. Nothing came. Not satisfaction either. Just absence. I opened the camera, angled it toward the horizon, and took a photo. Black ocean, silver moonlight, a few distant boat lights floating in the dark. I attached it to his contact and sent it without a single word. Then I turned off my phone. I spent the next 4 days in something close to paradise. I swam in water so clear I could see the sand rippling beneath my feet. I read the book I had packed, cover to cover, under a white umbrella while servers brought cold water and lime. I ate fresh ceviche under a palapa, with warm wind moving through my hair. I slept with the terrace door cracked open so the ocean could fill the room. I took the sunset sailing trip I had booked for 2 and went alone. It was better that way. No one to impress. No one to manage. No man beside me checking his phone for messages from another woman. Just the boat, the sea, and the kind of silence that gives something back to you. When I turned my phone on once each morning, the messages stacked up. Some furious, some tearful, some switching between rage and apology in the same breath. I deleted them all unread. Kara was gone by the second day, according to one message preview I saw before deleting it. Nolan had moved from anger to panic. He wanted me to call the front desk. He wanted me to stop punishing him. He wanted me to remember who we were. I did remember. That was exactly why I did not answer. By the time I flew home, rested and sun-warmed, I had already arranged a moving service to collect my things from the apartment. A colleague had helped me find a downtown loft closer to work, no memories attached. My side of the closet would be empty before Nolan made it back from Mexico. My key would be on the kitchen counter. My forwarding address would go only to the landlord. Nolan told me I could stay home, so I did. And while I was there, I moved on. The first call came 3 days after I got back. I was standing in my new kitchen, surrounded by boxes, eating takeout straight from the carton because I had not unpacked plates yet. The number was unknown, but I answered out of habit. The voice on the other end was Nolan's mother, sharp and rehearsed, the kind of anger people wear when they have only heard one version of the story and prefer it that way. "You abandoned my son in a foreign country," she said. "He could have been hurt." "What kind of woman does that?" "The kind whose boyfriend invited another woman on a vacation she paid for and told her to stay home if she had a problem," I said. I simply stopped being the host. She inhaled sharply. He made a mistake. A good partner forgives. A good partner does not add another woman to a romantic trip behind your back. You are punishing him. No, I said. I am giving him exactly what he asked for. Then I hung up and blocked the number. A week later, a mutual friend sent me a long text. Nolan was a mess. Kara had ditched him the first night. He had spent most of the trip in a discounted ground floor room facing the parking lot. He had told people I was cold, controlling, dramatic, impossible to satisfy. He wanted to talk. He wanted closure. He wanted me to be the bigger person. I replied once. He told me I could stay home. I did. Please do not contact me about him again. The friend called me heartless. I archived the conversation. Some people will never understand that a mistake is forgetting to buy sunscreen. A mistake is not secretly adding another woman to a vacation your girlfriend planned, paid for, and hoped would save the relationship. 6 weeks passed. I settled into the loft slowly. It had high ceilings, wide windows, and no ghosts. No robe hanging on the bedroom door, no late-night phone glow from the other side of the bed, no tiny pieces of myself arranged around Nolan's comfort. I bought a blue sofa because I liked it. I stocked the fridge with food I wanted. I slept diagonally across the bed for the first week simply because I could. Then, on a Wednesday evening, while I was cooking dinner, my phone rang from a number I did not recognize. I answered before thinking. Virginia, please do not hang up. Nolan's voice was smaller than I remembered, almost fragile. I leaned against the counter, wooden spoon still in my hand, and let the silence stretch. You have 2 minutes. He started crying immediately. I made a mistake. A huge, horrible mistake. Kara was not who I thought she was. She left me at the resort. She told people at work I was pathetic. She said I had promised everything was handled and then embarrassed her. Now everyone knows. I can barely show my face at the office. I said nothing. She was using me, he continued. She just wanted the trip. She wanted the suite. She wanted the story. I was stupid. I was blind. I threw away the only person who ever actually showed up for me. The words were familiar in shape. They sounded like regret, but underneath them was need. Nolan did not miss me yet. He missed being rescued from the consequences of choosing wrong. I want to fix this, he said. I will do anything. Counseling. Boundaries. No Kara, I swear. I understand now why I did it. Please, can we talk face to face? I stared at the steam rising from the pan. 6 months ago, I would have searched for mercy in myself. 3 months ago, I might have wanted to hear him say more. But now, in my own kitchen, in an apartment he had never entered, I felt the clean distance between who I had been and who I had become. You told me I could stay home if I had a problem with your choices, I said. I took you up on that. There is nothing left to talk about. So that is it? His tears sharpened. You are throwing away 3 years over one sentence? No, I said. You threw it away when you put her name on a reservation I paid for and told me my opinion did not matter. I am just making sure it stays thrown. He inhaled like he was preparing to argue. I hung up before the words formed. I did not block the number. I simply never answered it again. 6 months after Cancun, my life looked nothing like the one I had been trying so hard to repair. I changed jobs, better pay, better hours, a team that did not leave me drained at the end of every day. I started going to the gym, not to transform myself for anyone else, but because I finally had energy that was not being spent decoding Nolan's moods. I took myself to movies. I visited my parents more. I learned the quiet pleasure of buying one ticket, ordering one dessert, and not explaining why I wanted either. And then I met Graham. Graham was a graphic designer at the firm handling my new company's rebrand. We met in a conference room over coffee, color palettes, and layout proofs. He had a quiet laugh and the rare ability to say exactly what he meant without turning honesty into a weapon. I did not have to decode him. I did not have to wonder which version of his sentence was hiding underneath the one he said out loud. He was just clear. We dated slowly. No grand promises. No desperate declarations about destiny. Just dinners, walks, conversations that did not leave me emotionally exhausted afterward. With Graham, I never felt like I was auditioning for the right to be respected. If something bothered me, I could say it. If he disagreed, he did not call me insecure. He listened, answered, and stayed in the room. I did not post about him. I did not need to. But word travels through overlapping circles, and eventually it traveled where I knew it would. The wedding invitation arrived in early spring. A mutual friend from the old group was getting married, someone who had stayed neutral through the breakup, and I appreciated that more than I ever told him. Graham and I went together. He wore a charcoal suit. I wore a soft blue dress that matched the pale spring sky outside. We walked into the reception like two people who had not spent a single minute planning how anyone else would read us. Nolan was already there. I spotted him before he spotted me. He stood near the bar, alone, nursing a drink he was not enjoying. His suit fit well enough, but his face gave him away. Too thin, too alert, like a man who had spent months expecting every doorway to produce the consequence he still wanted to argue with. His smile was too bright when people spoke to him, the kind of smile you wear when you need everyone to believe you are fine. Then he saw me, then Graham. I watched the recognition move across his face. First surprise, then calculation, then something quieter and more difficult to hide. Loss, maybe, or ownership realizing it had expired. He waited an hour. That was Nolan's style, strategic. He let Graham and me dance, let us laugh with friends, let himself imagine the right opening. Then, when Graham crossed the room to speak with the groom, Nolan appeared beside me with a fresh drink and a face he probably thought looked calm. "You look good," he said. "Thank you." He glanced toward Graham. "New boyfriend?" "Yes." His jaw tightened almost invisibly. "That was fast." I looked at him. "No, Nolan. It was peaceful. There is a difference." He swallowed, then tried to soften his expression. "Are we ever going to be adults and actually talk about what happened?" "I think we already did." "No," he said, the edge slipping through. "You made a decision while you were angry. You stranded me in another country, ignored me for months, and acted like I was some monster. I never got closure." I let the word sit between us. Closure. The last shelter of people who do not like the ending they wrote for themselves. "You told me I could stay home if I had a problem," I said. "I stayed home. Then I moved on. That is your closure." His face flickered. The careful calm cracked, and underneath it was something raw. "I did not mean it literally. You know I did not mean it literally. You meant it enough to put Kara's name on the reservation behind my back. You meant it enough to say it to my face. I simply believed you." "She was a mistake." "Yes." "I was stupid." "Yes." "I loved you, Virginia." That one landed softly, but not deeply. Once I would have held it like proof. Now I heard it for what it was. A late-arriving sentence, trying to buy its way back into a locked house. "You loved what I provided," I said. "You loved being forgiven before you apologized. You loved knowing I would rearrange myself around your comfort. That is not the same thing." His eyes shone, but I felt no pull toward them. "You are really done," he said. "I have been done since Cancun." He looked toward Graham again, then back at me. Is he better than me? I almost smiled, not cruelly, but because the question was still about competition, still about Nolan needing to measure himself against someone else, instead of looking honestly at what he had done. He does not make me feel optional, I said. That is enough. Graham appeared beside me then, not interrupting, not posturing, just returning. He touched my hand gently. Everything okay? I looked at Nolan one last time. Yes. Then I turned away. Later, someone mentioned Nolan left early. I had not noticed. I was too busy dancing with a man who had never once made me feel like a backup plan. The photo from that balcony in Cancun is still on my phone. Black ocean, silver moonlight, distant boat lights, Nolan screaming reduced to silence and pixels. I do not look at it often. I do not need to. I already know what it means. It was the first picture of the life I chose when I finally stopped paying for a place in someone else's vacation.